Krishna Kirtana Ganana Tanapano Premamritam Manidhi Dhira Dhira Jana Priyau Priyakarau Nirmasaram Pujitau Sri Chaitanya Kripa Bharau Bhubi Bhuva Bharavahantarakam Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghujagam Sri Jiva Gopalakam Krishna Kirtana Ganana Tanaparo Premamritam Banidhi Dhira Dhira Jana Priyam Priyakaram Nirmasaram Pujitam Nana Shastra Vicharanayika Nipunam Sadharma Sanghastapakam Lokanang Hitakarinam Tribhuvane Mannam Saranyakanam Nana Shastra Vicharanayika Nipunam Sadharma Sanghastapakam Lokanang Hitakarinam Tribhumane Mannam Saranakaram Radha Krishna Padaravinda Bhajananandena Matvalikam Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghujagam Sri Jiva Gopalakam Krishna Kirtana Ganana Tanaparam Premamritam Banidhi Sri Chaitanya Kripa Bharau Bhubi Bhuva Bharavahantarakam Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghujagam Sri Jiva Gopalakam Sri Gauranga Gunanubandana Vidhau Sadhyasamidharnitam Papatrapanikantana Tanabhitam Govinda Gana Amritayi Sri Gauranga Gunanubandana Vidhau Sadhyasamidharnitam Papatrapanikantana Tanabhitam Govinda Gana Amritayi Anandambudivardhanayi Kanipunam Kaivalyaniswarakam Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghujagam Sri Jiva Gopalakam Krishna Kirtana Ganana Tanaparam Premamritam Banidhi तक्वातो नमसे समण्डलपति शनि सदा तुच्छम भूत्वा दीनगणेशकौ करुणया कोऽपि न कण्ठासितौ तक्वातो नमसे समण्डलपति शनि सदा तुच्छम भूत्वा दीनगणेशकौ करुणया कोऽपि न कण्ठासितौ गोपी भावरसामृताभिलहरी कल्लोलमग्नोन्मुहो वन्दे रूपसनातन रघुजगं श्रीजीवगोपालकौ कृष्ण कीर्तन कानन तन परं प्रेमामृताम्बनिधि कृष्ण कीर्तन कानन तन परं प्रेमामृताम्बनिधि कुजत कोकिलहं संसार सुगण कीर्णे मयूराकुले नाना रत्न निबद्ध
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, all glories to Śrīla Prabhupāda, and all glories to the members of the Prabhupada Disciples Association and the Hare Krishna Society, which was incorporated in 2002 by Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu. Very auspicious action by him. A thought back then, which has become a reality now, much more. And we are so pleased to be a part of his efforts, which can help people on the journey back home, back to Godhead. This is an aspiration of the devotees to get out of this material world. Prabhupada said you have to have a pessimistic view of material life. Otherwise, you have no reason to want to get out. You think, oh, I'll just live on in this state of confusion and misery, and it doesn't matter, because this is my lack of understanding of the purpose of life. The purpose of human life is self-realization and Krishna consciousness. And our sadhana program, 3 times a week, Thursdays right now, Saturdays and Sundays is a sadhana program for our members. It is a steady application of our focus on hearing and chanting in association with other devotees. This is a very important point in Krishna consciousness, and we should search out those devotees who are committed to the legacy of protecting Śrīla Prabhupāda's unedited, unadulterated books, his letters, and his lectures. Hearing from the pure devotee is the secret of making advancement. And I've been reading, as you all know, I've been reading for the last month and a half from Nectar of Devotion. And very enlightening, excuse me, sorry about that. I've been reading from the Nectar of Devotion, which is very enlightening for me, yes. And I wanted to share a section I managed to capture yesterday from the characteristics of one in ecstatic love. And it was attractions for living in a place where Krishna has his pastimes. And just scroll down a bit farther. As attachment can be invoked by the association of pure devotees. Keep going. Keep going. Let's see where we get. Oh, there we are. Thank you. As attachment can be invoked by association of devotees, so attachment can also be extinguished by committing offenses at the lotus feet of pure devotees. So Prabhupada always stressed the Vani association of the pure devotee as opposed to Vapu. Because of this problem that many people had that were personally associating with him. They considered him to be by familiarity, they considered him to be an ordinary person. And they would commit offenses. And there were many offenses committed directly by these people when they associated with Prabhupada back then, when he was spreading the movement. In fact, most of them blooped out of the society, and not only did they bloop, they gave up the discipline of practicing bhakti yoga. What a mistake. Everyone needs discipline. So Vani Vapu is very important. Vani is the most important part of bhakti yoga. This is a yoga science based on sound vibration. It's a transcendental state. As attachment can be invoked by the association of pure devotees, so attachment can also be extinguished by committing offenses at the lotus feet of the pure devotees. And Prabhupada was referring here, of course, to people in the Gaudiya Math that associated with Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, His Divine Grace, and committed those offenses against him. And he was aware of that. To be more clear, by the association of pure devotees, attachment for Krishna can be aroused. But if one commits offenses at the lotus feet of a devotee, his shadow attachment or para attachment can be extinguished. This extinguishing is like the waning moon, which gradually decreases and at last becomes darkness. One should therefore be very careful while associating with pure devotees to guard against committing an offense at their lotus feet. Very important instruction here, everyone. Just like the chanting of Hare Krishna. In order to make advancement, you have to chant offenselessly. And these offenses, you can review them in Nectar of Devotion, constantly reminding yourself to avoid them because they will kill your creeper. Transcendental attachment or shadow or para can be nullified by different degrees of offenses at the lotus feet of pure devotees. So this is the caution that Prabhupada and Rupa Goswami are giving us in the Nectar of Devotion. Avoid offenses. Very important. If the offense is very serious, then one's attachment becomes almost nil. And if the offense is not very serious, one's attachment can become second class or third class. So, very important point here in Nectar of Devotion, and something we should be very cautious in practicing. It's like the chanting of Hare Krishna. I think we'll go now to the diaries, Ram Raghava, and proceed into understanding Prabhupada's work in the early years, how he was documenting his service very carefully in his daily things to do list. And we'll go to Wednesday, June 22nd, 1966. So the sunrise was 4:32 a.m., sunset was 7:33 p.m., and moonset was 11:08. Panchami, today, Paul was paid $225 for expenses. I think I was calling him Tom. It's Paul Murray. Actually, Satsrup in his so-called Leelamrita doesn't even know who he is. He makes up a different name. Not very authentic, is it? Today Paul was paid $225 for expenses, withdrawn from the bank $65, and sent to the landlady $100 by month check. Commission was paid 25 cents. Theosophical Lodge at 347 East 72nd kept one set of books on approval. My phone number, 4327 was given to them, so Prabhupada's repeated it from the 21st. This is a great achievement for him. They will inform after consulting Madame Wadia of Bombay, who is now at New York, bus fare, 30 cents. No letter received today.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna.
Triloka Vijaya, please shut your mic off. Triloka Vijaya, off. Concentrate on this reading. No letter received today. Institute of Religions and Social Studies at Broadway, 122 Street Junction, 6th floor, invited me to see 10:30 a.m. with books. In the evening, there was a meeting. The attendance was 11, but the collection was only $7.50. Book collection was $1, so it was $8.50. Expenditures $225, $35, 25 cents, and 30 cents, $37.80. So Prabhupada's counting all the money in and out. Thursday, June 23rd, sunrise 4:32 a.m., sunset 7:33 p.m., moonsets 11:37, Shasti. Today, one books deposited with the director of the Institute of Religions and Social Studies, Broadway and 122nd Street Junction. It is settled that the director will directly deposit the value in the bank. A subway and bus fare was 45 cents. Mike proposed to become a Vaishnava and married with his girlfriend. That was Michael Grant. Mukunda. Today, while I was about to go to Carl's place, Paul implored me that if he required, he would go away. This loft is mine. Krishna's working. I was pleased to hear all these from the young boy. So Prabhupada's seeing how this person was trouble. So disassociate yourself from people that are trouble. We have to work at that. So I stopped leaving of this place. Carl took the trouble of bringing back my bags. So he was going to go, and then he decided to stay because he's going to get control of the environment. On Friday, June 24th, sunrise was 4:32 a.m. Sunset was 7:33 p.m. Moonsets Saptami. Today I applied for the post box, one letter posted to Brahmachari Mangalaniloy, deprecating his views that talk of cooperation can be raised only after he is coming in this country. So we read that letter yesterday. I'm glad that Śrīla Prabhupada is seeing through the falsity of this person. In the morning, I saw Mike's loft. Paul appeared to be a little changed. In the evening, there was a meeting, and the attendance is about 12, and the contribution was only $6.40. Book collection was only $1. And Mr. Grant took one set of books he desires to pay gradually. In the evening, I paid Paul $1 for expenditures. Income is $7.40. Expenditure was $1. And Dr. Mishra informed about my 2 sticks. Hardly any money. Prabhupada has hardly any money, but he's keeping track. Saturday, June 25th, sunset 4:32, sunrise I should say, sunset 7:33, moonsets 05 Astami. Sunday, June 26th, sunrise 4:33, sunset 7:33, moonset 03 Navami. Monday, June 27th, sunset 4:33, moonset 055 Dasami. Tuesday, June 28th, sunrise 4:34, sunset 7:33, moonset 1:23. It was a Codicy. See how brief this section is. It'll expand, but obviously Prabhupada is contemplating. He's thinking about everything that's going on in his plan to spread the mission. Wednesday, June 29th, Dwadasi. Thursday, June 30th, Triodicee. And here we have, you won't have this. We're going to, I'm going to read this if I can see it with my glasses on. Oh, actually I can't. Do you have that? No, that's July 1st. There's another section in this particular version of this. I'm reading from this copy of the memories, the diaries, and we're also taking it from the online version, which doesn't have this section. And I'm having trouble reading it with my glasses. So what we'll do is we'll move forward with the class. I don't see our godbrother, Yaśodā-nandana, with us. Do you see him? Ram Raghava, is he on the roster? Okay. Well, we'll move forward. Hopefully he'll show up. Otherwise, we'll carry on with the reading. He did send me a message yesterday asking me what text we were going to be on. So I sent him over the section that we're studying from, but we'll read through if, providing I can see what I'm doing. Otherwise, I'll ask one of our Ram Raghava to read from the Bhagavatam when we move to the next section. All glories to the Sankirtan movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And we'll now have the chanting of Jaya Radha Madhava, the bhajan that Prabhupada sang before the classes, every class. And then we'll move ahead with the reading and discussion. Hare Krishna.
Sai. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Yasoda-nandana Braja Jana Nandana Yasoda-nandana Braja Jana Nandana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Chaitanya Sadasyaman Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavindra ki jai. Namacharya Śrīla Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gaur Gopinath Sam Kund Radha Kund Giridhavan ki jai. Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Navadvip Dham ki jai. Swami Bhaktivinoda ki jai. गंगा माई की जय, जमुना माई की जय, तुलसी देवी की जय, भक्ति देवी की जय, स्वामी तो भक्तवृंद की जय. All glories to the assembled Lord. All glories to the assembled Lord. Thank you very much.
Excellent.
Om
Yaśodā-nandana.
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. O my Lord, Sri Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Narayanam namaskritya. Narayanam namaskritya. Naram cheva narottamam. Naram cheva narottamam. Devim saraswatim vyasam. Devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudirayet. Tato jayam mudirayet. One should offer proper respects. I can't read the screen, it's too small. Here we go. One should utter the means of conquest, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, after offering respects, one, to the personality of Godhead, Narayana, two, to the Narayana Rishi, who is the supremmost human being, three, to the Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, then four, to Śrīla Vyāsa, the author. Thanks everyone and welcome everyone to this reading and discussion on Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, the most important Vedic literature according to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Thanks everybody for participating, as Śrīla Prabhupada would often do during his Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam classes every day. We will read a few selected verses from the first canto, second chapter, which explains the meaning and the benefit of hearing this powerful transcendental literature. Yadadyanudasita yuktaha karma granti nibandanam chindanti kovidastasya kona kuriyat kataratim. Can't get the screen to work here. Okay, here we go. Just 1 second. Intelligent persons do cut off the internet of the knot of reactionary work by remembrance of the personality of Godhead. Therefore, who will not give attention to his message? Shushrushuho sradadanasya vasudeva kataruchihi syan mahatsevaya vipra punyatiratanishevanath. Or the twice-born sages, by serving those devotees who are completely freed from all ranges of vice, a standard of great service is done. And as the result of such great service, affinity in the messages of Vasudeva is made possible. Shrinvatam sakataha Krishnaha punyasravana kirtanaha hridyantasto yabadrani vidunoti suritsatam. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is also the Paramatma in everyone's heart and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, thus cleanse the desire for material enjoyment in the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge for hearing his Krishna's messages, which are themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. Nashtaprayeshu avabhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki. By regular attendance in the Bhagavatam class or rendering service under the pure devotees, all that is inauspicious in the heart of a candidate becomes destroyed almost to nil, and thus loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, comes into being an irrevocable fact. Tadarajastamo bhava kamalo bhadayaschaye chetayete ranaviddam stitam sattve prasidati. As soon as irrevocable loving service is fixed up in one's heart, at that time the effects of the nature's mode of passion and ignorance, such as lust, desires, and hankerings, do disappear from one's heart, and he becomes fixed up in a mode of goodness, which makes him completely happy. Evam prasanna manasu bhagavad bhakti yogataha bhagavad tattva vijnanam mukta sangasya jayati. Thus, when one is positively fixed up in a mode of unalloyed goodness, the enlivened-minded man affected by contact of devotional service of the Lord can positively know scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead in the stage of liberation from all material association. Vidyate hridaya grantis chidyante sarva samshaya kshiyante chasya karmani drishta evatmanishwari. The knot of one's heart is thus pierced, and all misgivings are cut into pieces. The chain of fruitive actions are terminated, along with the seeing of oneself, the dominated factor. Again, welcome everyone to this very important reading of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. We will proceed with reading our selected verse today. We are on Canto 1, Chapter 6, text number 6 and 7, or Ram Raghava, we're on text number 7? Text number 7. Very good.
Yes.
Sa atmatantra naklapa asit yoda kalevaram asit yoga kshemam mona ichati ishasya hibashe loka yasha darumayi yata. Sa he asvatantra was dependent, na not, kalpa able, asit was, yogakshemam maintenance, mama mine, ichati although desirous, ishasya of the providence, vashe under the control of, loka everyone, yasha doll, darumayi made of wood, yata as much as. She wanted to look after my maintenance properly, but because she was not independent, she was unable to do anything for me. The world is under full control of the Supreme Lord, and therefore everyone is like the wooden doll in the hands of the dancing master. Text number 8. Aham cha tad brahma kule utivam tadapekshaya digdesha kalabhyutpanna valakaha panchahayanaha. Aham, I, cha, also, tad, her, apekshaya, being dependent on, tad, that, brahmakule, in the school of the Brahmins, ushivan, live, digdesha, direction and country, kala, time, abhyutpana, having no experience, balakaha, mere child, pancha, 5, hayanaha, years old. Translation by Śrīla Prabhupāda. I also lived in that school of the Brahmins, being dependent on my mother's affection while I was a mere child of 5 years. 5 years old, without any experience of the countries and different directions. Text number 9. Ikada nigatam grihat duhantim nichigam pati sarpa adasat padasprisham kripanam kalachoditam. Ikada, once upon a time, nirgatam, having gone out, gehat, from home, duhantim, for milking, gum, the cow, nishi, at night, sarpa, snake, adashat, bitten, pada, on the leg, sprishtam, thus stroken, kripanam, the poor woman, kalacheditam, influenced by the supreme time. Translation by His Divine Grace, Śrīla Prabhupāda. Once upon a time, the poor woman, my mother, while engaged in milking cow at night, was on the road bitten by a serpent, striking on the leg as it was influenced by the supreme time. Purport. That is the way of dragging a sincere soul nearer to God. The poor boy was being looked after by the only affectionate mother, and yet the mother was withdrawn from the world by the supreme will in order to put the sincere soul and completely at the mercy of the Lord. That was actually to happen in the life of Nārada in his previous birth. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuran Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Bhakti Siddhanta Shishyaya Bhaktivedanta Namine Prasannaya Prashantaya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Bhagavad Vandana Kadyam Guru Vandana Purvakam Kshiram Sharkara Yuktam Kadate Visheshataham Adadana Strinam Danter Idam Vyachi Punaha Punaham Śrīmad Padam Bhoja Dhulisyam Janma Janmani Amsho Bhagavato Smyaham Sadadaso asmi saravata. Tat kripa pikshako nityam. Tat presta satakaromi svam. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. In the Ishopanishad, also known as the Ishavasya Upanishad, there is description in the first verse, Ishavasyamidam Saravam, that the Supreme Lord is considered the Isha, the controller, the supreme controller. In other words, we see in the life of Nārada that there was an unfortunate incident where his mother was stricken by a serpent and died suddenly. He was only 5 years old. So the question may be raised, oh, why such a cruel fate? Well, sometimes it happens in the material world that things are arranged under the supervision of the Supreme Personality of Godhead to bring one closer to Krishna, closer to the Lord. It's an unfortunate incident, no doubt, but we have to learn from this. We see in the Bhagavad Gita, there are so many descriptions by Lord Krishna himself, how he's the supreme controller. Ishvaraha sarva bhutanam. That all living entities are under the control of the Ishvara, the supreme master. Riddeshe Arjuna tishtati. And Krishna says, I am within the heart of every living entity. So whatever arrangement is there, whatever happens, we know ultimately it is arranged by the Lord. There's a very famous statement by Śrīla Prabhupāda in the Bhagavad Gita where he describes that not a blade of grass moves without the will of the Supreme. In the Upanishads, it also describes that Krishna is called, one of his name is Anumanta. Anumanta means he permits the living entity's situation. He controls everything, but he permits the desires of the living entities. And according to the desires of the living entity, he will facilitate the living entity coming into contact with saintly person. Oh, here we go. There's that verse is displayed here. Let me see if we can make it a little bit bigger, slightly. Ishvaraha sarva bhutanam riddeshe arjuna tishtati brahmayam sarva bhutani yantra rudrani mayaya. Let's see if we make the translation a little bit bigger, I might be able to read it here. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and is directing the wanderings of the living entities who are seated on a machine made of the material energy. So this is quite significant. Krishna is explaining very nicely the position. What is the position of the living entity? The living entity is never independent. Somebody recently sent me a video of Śrīla Prabhupada giving a lecture, and Prabhupada was very strongly making the point why you're accepting the miseries of the material existence. And he kept hammering the point, why you're accepting the suffering of old age, why you're accepting the suffering of birth, why you're accepting the suffering of disease, why you're accepting the suffering of death. And Śrīla Prabhupada is saying, you can make a solution. There is a solution. The solution is to become Krishna conscious. And that is done by practicing the chanting. The chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I remember the first time that I heard Śrīla Prabhupāda chanting the very famous song, Govinda Jaya Jaya. We were in Montreal in 1969 in the summer, and Śrīla Prabhupāda had gone to New York, and there had been a recording of the bhajan, Govinda Jaya Jaya, Gopala Jaya Jaya. Now, we had heard different devotees sing the song, but prior to that recording, we had never heard Śrīla Prabhupāda sing it in such a beautiful, melodious way. So what happened is we got a recording of that song and we played it. And Shripati at the time, the leader in the temple, made the song available to all the devotees in the temple. And we heard this beautiful rendering by Śrīla Prabhupāda. It was as though Śrīla Prabhupāda was right then and there, although physically he was not in Montreal, but the recording of Śrīla Prabhupāda's voice was so powerful that we felt exactly that Prabhupada was with us, singing that beautiful song about Krishna. It was a very emotional, very devotional moment. Very, very sweet. For those who do not know, Shripati was one of the leaders in the temple. He was the best cook, one of the best cooks in the movement, and an amazing mridanga player. Recently on Facebook, there was a video of Śrīla Prabhupada dancing in the San Francisco Ratha Yatra in 1970 in San Francisco, California, in Golden Gate Park. And Shripati is the devotee behind Śrīla Prabhupada who was playing the mridanga with a turban. He was an amazing mridanga player who learned the exact traditional way, Bengali way of playing the mridanga. He was a very proficient player and a very good kirtan leader. So it was my good fortune very early on. He had such amazing attachment and strong faith in Śrīla Prabhupada. It was very, very, very sweet to get that transcendental association. Just like here in this verse, it is described that Nārada Muni was 5 years old and he got the association of the great sages. So this was actually my good fortune and the good fortune of all the devotees in the temple, how we got the transcendental association of Śrīla Prabhupada and such a great sage like Shripati Prabhu, who was a very, very, very serious devotee, very devoted soul, very Brahmanical, very sober, and highly intelligent. I remember one time he was training me how to cook in the kitchen. So he told me to wash the rice, and he said that Swamiji told us we should wash the rice 3 times very carefully, and he drained the water down the sink. So washed the rice, and a 3rd time I washed the rice, and a few grains of rice spilled in the sink. So I tried to go push the rice down the drain. He says, oh, no, we can't do that. You can't do that. Swamiji says, we have to save each and every grain of rice because it belongs to Krishna. Everything belongs to Krishna, even these grains of rice. And I was very, very touched by first of all, his attachment to Śrīla Prabhupada's instruction, but his very, very kind way of bringing about a spiritual instruction that he had heard from Śrīla Prabhupada in a practical way. So that was very, very, very kind. Another point that we need to remember about the association of great sages. In the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, there's a description that great personalities, great sadhus, are very powerful in their association. Because the association of sadhus brings about the affinity to hear about Krishna, to serve Krishna, to render devotional service to Krishna. Sadhavo hridayam mahyam, sadhunam hridayam tvaham, madanyatina jananti naham tebhyo managapi. This is from the 9th canto of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, where Krishna himself describes that sadhus are in my heart and I'm always in their heart. They're always thinking of me, and I'm always thinking of them. So this is why Śrīla Prabhupada structured the devotional association of the devotees in the Krishna Consciousness movement. We're all familiar with that very famous statement in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that Prabhupada describes, that the association of sadhu is very, very important. It brings about all perfection, all the shastra, sarva shastra koi. Sarva shastra koi means all the scriptures recommend the association of sadhus or saintly devotees. Why? Somebody may say, well, what is the benefit of that association? That is also explained. That sarva siddhi hoy, lava matra sadhu sange, sarva siddhi hoy. That even by very, here we go, the verse is quoted. This is from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 22, I believe, text 54, when it was displayed. Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastra Gai, that the association of sadhu is recommended in all scriptures. Ram Raghava, wonderful. Thank you, thank you. He's actually had the actual verse. Okay, here we go. Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastra Gai, Lava Matra Sadhu Sange, Sarva Siddhi Hoy. In all the revealed scriptures, I can't read on my screen here. It is that if it is recommended in all the revealed scriptures, is that even by a moment of association with a pure devotee, one can attain all success. And Śrīla Prabhupada explains in the purports that the word, by material calculation, lava is 1/11 of 1 second. Now, we've heard from these various Prabhupada memories, there's many devotees who just saw Prabhupada one time in an airport, or who just happened to see Śrīla Prabhupada. What was that verse? Tulayama, Lavinapi. Let's read that. Or another beautiful verse. Tulayama Lavinapi, Nasvargam Napunarbhavam, Bhagavat Sangi Sangasya, Martyanam Kimuta Shishaha. Okay, maybe you shrink it just a tiny bit. Even a moment's association with a devotee of the Lord, I can't get the whole translation on my small screen. A moment's association with a devotee of the Lord is more important than the attainment of heavenly planets or liberation or worldly benedictions in the form of material. Here we go. Of material prosperity, which is for those who are meant for that. So this is a very important verse explaining the value of a moment's association. So the question may be, well, you people, some of us, got the personal, physical association of Prabhupada. What about those who didn't get the physical, personal living association of Prabhupada? You're not being prevented from associating with Prabhupada. Anyone can associate with Prabhupada right now by hearing the transcendental message given by His Divine Grace, by His sacred divine books. That is the real association with His Divine Grace. We know that Śrīla Prabhupada always emphasized the Vani over the Vapu, the instruction over the physicality. There's no doubt, and we don't minimize the good fortune and the very special association of those who were able to avail of the transcendental association of His Divine Grace, Śrīla Prabhupada. That was very special. We don't deny that. But no one is prevented from associating with Śrīla Prabhupada right now. All it takes is one has to hear the transcendental message from His Divine Grace's books. And also, nowadays, we have the good fortune of hearing his lectures, his morning walks, his Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, his Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam lectures, various conversations. There's so many different recordings. It's very unique that this Acharya, this transcendental, powerful, empowered Acharya, is available in sound. And why is it so special? Prabhupada explains in the 4th canto of the Bhagavatam that the voice of a pure devotee is very powerful because it is in association, direct association with the saffron mercy particles that are strewn over the lotus feet of the Lord. So that is a very unique, special position to hear directly from Śrīla Prabhupada. I mean, as much as all these great acharyas like Vishwanath Chakravarti, Baladev Vidyabhusha, Jiva Goswami, Rupa Goswami, Madhva Ramanuja, we don't have their voice recording. Of course, somebody may say, well, they didn't have recording devices in those days. Yes, that is what makes Śrīla Prabhupada's association very unique, very special. This person came at this particular time, traveled all around the world, flew all the different continents. I believe he flew around the world 12 different times, initiated thousands of disciples, gave all of these lectures, all of these instructions, and it was many of whom were recorded. And it's up to us to take advantage of that association and hear the message. Somebody recently said, well, why do you keep emphasizing so much this point about hearing? As well, it's not that we emphasize the point about hearing. The point is that Śrīla Prabhupada emphasized the point about hearing. In the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam itself, Prabhupada says that one should recognize a sadhu by hearing, not by seeing. Prabhupada would often quote his Guru Maharaj, saying that you can recognize a saintly person by hearing and not necessarily by seeing. So many times Śrīla Prabhupada would say that you can recognize a foolish person as soon as they open their mouths. And this is seen in the material world. How many times do we hear, sometimes over the radio or television or internet or newspaper, some politician making some bombastic statement or some outlandish promise? As soon as they open their mouths, you can see there's so many foolish things that are being said. But the message of the pure devotee is never foolish. It is always beneficial. It is always transcendental and very special. That's why, because somebody recently was telling me, why is it that yourself and Vishwakarma and Ram Raghava and Rupa Goswami, you always keep reading these different verses from the Bhagavatam in the beginning every week? Well, if you look at any one of these verses, there's very great message given there. For example, in Canto 1, Chapter 2, text number 15, Canto 1, Chapter 2, text number 15, it is described, the Sanskrit is Yad Adyasina Yuktaha Karmagrantini Bandhanam Chindanti Kovidastasya Kona Kuryat Kataratim. And Prabhupada nicely translates, intelligent persons do cut off the internet of the knot of reactionary work by remembrance of the personality of Godhead. Therefore, who will not give attention to his message? Again, thank you so much, Ram Raghava. Very nice. So this is the importance of hearing about Krishna right from the pages of the Bhagavatam. Right from the pages of the Bhagavatam. Very, very sweet. Then we have text number 16. Sushurushoho Shraddhadanasya Vasudeva Kata Ruchihi Syan Mahat Sevaya Vipra Punyatirtha Nishevanat. O the twice-born sages, by serving those devotees who are completely freed from all ranges of vice, a standard of great service is done. And as the result of such great service, affinity in the messages of Vasudeva is made possible. And the first point of advancement in devotional service is to render service to Śrīla Prabhupada. How? How do we render service to Śrīla Prabhupada? It is not simply of the offering of fruits and flowers. Just like today, I got up very early in anticipation of the class and did the chanting and my worshiping my little deity and my little Govardhan Shila. And as part of the process, I was offering some flowers, some fruit, some prayers. But the real service is to hear the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. For those of us who had the good fortune to be in Śrīla Prabhupada's presence, just remember one thing Śrīla Prabhupada used to often tell: just try to understand. So many times Prabhupada would tell people present in the room, the devotees, different guests, different parents, different dignitaries, just try to understand. This is a very important point. Very important point. Just like in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells Arjuna, Tatsrunu, just hear. Try to understand, Arjuna. Understand the message. And by understanding this message, there's a great, great benefit, transcendental benefit that occurs. And this is what we're reading in the beginning of these Bhagavatam readings and discussion or classes. Why it is so important to hear that transcendental message, to remember this transcendental message, and to engage in the positive service of Krishna, first by chanting his sacred name. In previous ages, it was a very long process. Śrīla Prabhupada used to often describe how in the Satya Yuga, during which people used to live for 100,000 years, that the process was this long meditation. Prabhupada said the predominance of the mode of goodness was very strong, very, very strong in the Satya Yuga. So therefore, people used to live for a very, very long time. And the process was very lengthy. But in this age, Kritiyat Dhyayatu Vishnum Tritayam Yajatu Make Dwapare Paricharyayan Kalo Tadhari Kirtana. That in this age, simply by remembering, by engaging in the kirtan of Lord Hari, immediately one can achieve the benefit that it used to take 100,000 years of meditation to achieve. Just think, this is a very fortunate age. In the 12th canto of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Prabhupada many times used to quote that verse, that in this age it is such a special age. Kaler doshu nidhi rajan astikum mahan gunaha. That although the age is full of faults and difficulties, there is one great quality. Well, what is that? Kirtanadiva Krishnasya mukta sangha param brajet. Simply by engaging the chanting of the name of Krishna even once, one immediately can become liberated from this material world. That is the power of the name of Krishna. That is the power. When we were traveling in South India with Achyutananda, there was a very interesting encounter with the Sringeri Shankaracharya, who incidentally, although he was an impersonalist of the school of Shankaracharya, he's one of the main proponents of the Mayavad philosophy. He was very friendly with us, and he very much liked the program of cow protection that Śrīla Prabhupada had started. He very much liked that. And the kirtan, that we showed him a picture of back to Godhead, with the kirtan of devotees in the streets and in the protection of cows, he was very much like that. So at one point he said, well, you should not wear this janu. Janu refers to the Brahmin thread that twice initiated devotees or brahmanas will wear. This Brahmin thread says you cannot wear this janu, that is the name in the Kannada language, because you've eaten meat, you've eaten cow meat in your life. And Achyutananda gave a very good reply. He says, which is stronger, the sin of eating the meat or the power of the name of Krishna? And he quoted from the Vishnu Purana which Śrīla Prabhupada has given, that even one name of Vishnu or Krishna is powerful enough to cleanse millions of lives of karma, of sinful activities. Which is more powerful, the statement of the Vishnu Purana or the eating of meat once? And the Swami had to admit that the statement of the Shastra was correct. So that was a very interesting encounter due to the mercy of Śrīla Prabhupada. Thanks everybody for participating and hearing this transcendental message of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. We will turn the program over to Vishwakarma. I just want to make a comment. Behind Ram Raghava Prabhu, I'm seeing on my cell phone, there's a beautiful picture of Lord Rama, Sita Rama, and Lakshman, and the 6 Goswamis. It is very colorful and very beautiful. Thank you very much, Prabhu, for displaying that picture. Very, very sweet and very nice. Very nice. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
All glories to Śrīla Prabhupada. Thank you very much. And I wanted to mention, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, that I was also fortunate to get the association of Sripati Prabhu in Toronto. He served there for some time. He was an excellent kirtan leader, and he was a very scholarly disciple of Śrīla Prabhupada and taught us all so many good instructions on how to follow in the footsteps of the pure devotee, because this is the way of association. Some people, they treat association of devotees as something not very important, and they commit offenses to other devotees because of a bad attitude that they have, a mental state of confusion, false ego, and they can't give it up. They don't have the capacity to do it because of false ego, as I said, their personal mental state of arrogance. One should be humble in association of other devotees, especially those who have dedicated their lives, their entire lives, to the spreading of Krishna consciousness. It's a gradual process of purification. Yes, it is. And it may take lifetimes to achieve it. Prabhupada would recommend Raghava that in this one lifetime, we should try to follow this process sincerely and get out of this material world. It can be in one lifetime or many lifetimes, depending on the seriousness of an individual. Those who are offensive, it will take many lifetimes for them to escape from this material entanglement. Because the material world is like a stage. Shakespeare said that. And we are all actors. Some people may think, oh, I can break the rules of spiritual life and make advancement. No. Just like a person driving in a car, he can think, oh, I can drive as fast as I want. And when he's stopped by the police, he can make a plea, oh, I didn't realize I was traveling so fast. And well, guess what the policeman will do? He'll give you the ticket. So the laws of karma are like that. You can commit offenses and plead, oh, I didn't realize it. But the fact of the matter is, you still are subjected to the rules of karma. And people that are offensive, they're not to be entertained, especially in this association. Whimsical. I wanted to go further, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, into a section from Nectar of Devotion, association with pure devotees, and read from that for your consideration. Although many different processes for developing love of Godhead have been explained so far, Śrīla Rupa Goswami now gives us a general description of how one can best achieve such a high position. The beginning of ecstatic love of Godhead is basically faith. There are many societies and associations of pure devotees. And if someone with just a little faith begins to associate with such societies, his advancement to pure devotional service is rapid. Yes, the association of devotees. And the example of Sripati stands in foremost in today's talk, as both myself and Yaśodā had experienced. The influence of a pure devotee is such that if someone comes to associate with him with a little faith, he gets the chance of hearing about the Lord from authoritative scriptures like Bhagavad Gita and Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. This is a gradual process of development. It's not, sure, overnight you can become Krishna conscious, but for most of us, it will take a lifetime of commitment, a lifetime of association, and constant hearing from the Shastras. Thus, by the mercy of the Lord, one who is situated in everyone's heart, who is one gradually develops, here Prabhupada's stressing, gradually develops his faith in the descriptions of such authoritative scriptures. This is the first stage of association with pure devotees. In the second stage, after one becomes a little advanced and mature, he automatically offers to follow the principles of devotional service under the guidance of the pure devotee and accepts him as the spiritual master. In the next stage, under the guidance of the spiritual master, the devotee executes regulative devotional service, and as a result of such activities, he becomes freed from all unwanted occupations. When he is freed from unwanted occupations, his faith becomes steadily fixed, and he develops a transcendental taste for devotional service, then attachment, then ecstasies, and in the last stage, there is pure love of Godhead. These are the different stages of development of pure love. Only the most fortunate persons can achieve such success in life. Those who are simply academic students of the Vedic literatures cannot appreciate how such development takes place, gradual development of Krishna consciousness through association. And I wanted, before I pass the microphone back to Yaśodā, mention a very important point about the incarnation of Śrīla Prabhupāda in sound. Incarnation. Think about the meaning of that word, incarnation. It is not frivolous. That means that Krishna and the pure devotee are manifested in a form, an incarnation of truth, of the absolute truth. Prabhupada is an incarnation, the Vani incarnation. This Vani Vapu principle has to be understood by all the disciples of Prabhupada. That Prabhupada lives in sound, and the followers live with him. This is not frivolous. It is by whimsical behavior that the Gaudiya Math was destroyed by its members, his godbrothers. And in the same way, The ISKCON movement has been destroyed due to whimsical behavior and a lack of understanding that Prabhupada lives in sound. And that's why we relish every day reading from his books, hearing his lectures, reading his letters, and associating with like-minded disciples of his that want to protect his legacy. And those people that ignore that, they are offensive. And that offense will destroy their creeper. Offenses are very important to be understood and acknowledged and removed out of the heart of the individual. Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, if you could further comment.
Well, you're raising a very important point. Śrīla Prabhupada dealt with that in a lecture in Los Angeles on the 13th of January, 1969, a Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam lecture in which he described what we have heard from the spiritual master, that is living. Now, this is a very important point because there's been so much emphasis on the physical association of certain individuals. Now, we don't deny that association with devotees is important. It is beneficial. But the point is, the spiritual master like Śrīla Prabhupada is always available through his instructions, his transcendental books. And nowadays, with modern technology, you could literally surround yourself 24 hours a day with Śrīla Prabhupada. Just the other day, I was feeling the weather was a little bad in Northern California. Right now, I'm in Southern California. So in Northern California, in the mountains, the weather was a little severe. So I was a little depressed. What I did is that I put the YouTube, and I put the chanting of Śrīla Prabhupada with the samsara prayers. So in the morning, usually I have a habit. As soon as I get up, I pay obeisance to Śrīla Prabhupada and Lord Chaitanya, Lord Krishna. And I put the samsara prayers on the phone, first thing in the morning, Prabhupada chanting the samsara prayers. And every time I hear that, I feel a great relief. It's like having Prabhupada directly in the room. It is non-different that if you were sitting in Prabhupada's room and Śrīla Prabhupada is singing the samsara prayers right then and there, it's available. That is one of the transcendental benefits of modern technology. Now, during the day, I felt a little affected by the weather, and I put the samsara prayers again, and I felt a great relief, because this is the effect of the association of a pure devotee by hearing his transcendental message. It is very, very powerful, and it's up to us to take advantage of that association. For example, in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, text number 16, in the last paragraph, Śrīla Prabhupada explains, these servants of God, like Śrīla Prabhupada we've been talking about, come with a mission of life to propagate God consciousness into human society. An intelligent person should cooperate with them in every respect. By serving the servant of God, one can please God more than directly serving the Lord. The Lord is more pleased when he sees that his servants are properly respected, because such servants of God who risk everything for the service of the Lord are very, very dear to the Lord. The Lord declares in the Bhagavad Gita that nobody is dearer to him than those who risk everything for the preaching work of God's glory. By serving the servants of the Lord, gradually one gets the quality of such servants, and this particular qualification of serving the servant of God makes one qualified with the urge for hearing the glorification of God. This eagerness for hearing about God is the first qualification of a devotee. eligible for entering into the kingdom of God. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Very interesting. As you know, when I was initiated in 1971 in Detroit, Michigan, when Prabhupada announced my name, Vishwakarma Das, he said to me in front of everyone, "But you should never think that you are the chief engineer, but you should always remember that you are the servant of the chief engineer. In this way, you'll become great." So this system of service to the devotees is also very important. And also offenses against them is very important to acknowledge in your own life. These things are going on everywhere. This is the reality of the material world. But the devotee takes shelter of the instructions of the spiritual master, and in this way, he tries to root out the imperfections in his own life and makes an effort to gradually change. It is very difficult for people to change. Change is something that people are afraid of. But change is all the time. It's ephemeral. And people that are mature and serious about spiritual life will try to change themselves. How? By following the instructions in the Vani incarnation of Śrīla Prabhupāda that we take shelter of every day. And there's so many instructions, unlimited instructions. But this is personal development, self-realization. There is a group principle of association, but fundamentally, we all fly our own ship. Prabhupada explains it in the Bhagavatam. You can fly below the clouds or you can fly above the clouds. You have to make that choice. And discipline yourself to try to somehow or other overcome your own personal defects. This is a personal mission that we're on, each one of us. And then we come together as strong members of this mission and serve Śrīla Prabhupada cooperatively as a unit. You're only as strong as your weakest link, Prabhu. People that are weak, they are a detriment to the mission that we are propagating. So this self-effort, self-determination is the responsibility of everyone. And I wanted to go to the panel of Dharma Bhavana and Puranjana Prabhu. Dharma Bhavana, maybe you could share some of your insights this morning with our group globally on PDA meeting.
All glories to Prabhupada, all glories to all devotees. Can you hear me?
Yes, definitely.
Can you hear me?
We can see you too.
I was just thinking how we're at the beginning of our class today. It's very difficult for someone who's not a trained devotee to understand how serious it is, this Vaishnava aparad. And I'm just going to read here the kind of it's easy for somebody to think I am part of some institution or some group, and we're specially spiritually blessed, and other people, it doesn't matter because they're not real devotees. That's easy to think like that. So in the Nectar of Instruction, text 6, I think 6th or 7th paragraph, it starts off, those who think that Krishna consciousness is limited to a certain section of people, a certain section of devotees, or a certain tract of land are generally prone to see the external features of the devotee. Such neophytes, unable to appreciate the exalted service of the advanced devotee, try to bring the Mahabhagavata to their platform. We experience such difficulty in propagating this Krishna consciousness all over the world. Unfortunately, we are surrounded by neophyte godbrothers who do not appreciate the extraordinary activities of spreading Krishna consciousness all over the world. They simply try to bring us to their platform, and they try to criticize us in every respect. We very much regret their naive activities and poor fund of knowledge. An empowered person who is actually engaged in the confidential service of the Lord should not be treated as an ordinary human being. For it is stated that unless one is empowered by Krishna, one cannot spread the Krishna consciousness movement all over the world. Just a short reading, just a little something I added. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhupada was certainly that person, and it's demonstrated by the success that he had, especially when he was personally present with us. And of course, after his departure, other people usurped that role with the zonal guru system, zonal Acharya guru system. And in this way, they spread a misinformation campaign on the importance of Vapu over Vani. And this is unfortunate. And it is a disease that is spread here in the current time, and it's getting worse as things are revealed, especially in social media. I was reading about a section of a temple in India where the people that are managing the temple are completely Hindu. They're not following the rules. Even some of them are eating meat. They're doing different things that are so far away from Prabhupada's teaching, it's hard to identify that this is what he started and hoped would be maintained nowadays. So very unfortunate. Paranjana Prabhu in California, I hope your microphone's working and you can share your thoughts on today's discussion.
Haribo, can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Well, I got an interesting exchange with a person who used to be a devotee at Nouvelle Mayapur, which is in France. And he said it's a very difficult situation there because the temple management is really not interested in anything Prabhupada implemented. And they're just renting rooms to Hindus, and they have Hindus cooking in the temple kitchen who are not vegetarian. And a lot of these cooks just go outside and smoke cigarettes. So in other words, the food is, not very authentic and not very purified, and there's no way they can fix that because they've kicked everybody out. Like this guy. This guy was one of the former residents there. And he says he sometimes wants to go and visit just to see the deities. And they said, yeah, you can come, but you have to pay just like everybody, you have to rent a room. So it's like a hotel situation. And he said they also bring these woofers. The woofers are these people who go to organic farming. They're like hippies type people, and they bring the woofers in. And he says those woofers, same thing. They're smoking pot, they're having sex here and there, and it's just like out of control. So he said this is formerly, a very prestigious ISKCON project, big building with a lot of devotees and all kinds of enthusiasm. And it was supposed to be cow protection and so many, auspicious things were supposed to be developed there. But as we all know, Bhagavan, the leader there, just created all kinds of mayhem and mischief. And so this is the end result. And this is why, the people who are debating now with Bhagavan, this is what they should just throw in his face. Hey, look, this is what you created. This is the end result. We now have meat-eating cooks, we smoking cigarette cooks, we have the woofers having, pot and sex and everything else going on. And in your former glorious, you went through all this trouble to get this building. What is the result? And I had an exchange with a lady also. She's like a new devotee type person. And she said, it seems to me that ISKCON is very interested in big marble buildings with, gold-plated ornaments all over the place and all that kind of thing, which is very similar to the Catholic Church. You just need a big building and then everything's going to be fine. But that's not working. And she said, if I feel that my children are not going to be protected in your society, then I don't care if you have a big marble building or what you have. I'm not going to be attending your program. So she says ISKCON seems to have missed the whole point that their society is now recognized as a society that does not protect women and children. And until that is fixed, they won't attract people. And that just makes a lot of sense. It's not a question of having, a big lofty external show. People are tired of that. So anyway, those are a few things I wanted to share, Hardball.
Yeah, thank you for that. Actually, Ram Raghava, I did see the picture of the castle in France. And by the way, I was invited years ago. I was a friend of Bhagawan Prabhu. He wanted me to move from Toronto to Europe and be a temple president in his zone. So he sent me a plane ticket to go over and be a part of his Vyāsa Puja celebration back then. I remember it. It was quite exciting in a certain way. I think there was 1,000 people there at the festival at the castle. And I recall leading a kirtan. It was ecstatic, etc. And it was somewhat glorious. And to see that post in the Facebook pages yesterday and heard this description of what's going on there was very disappointing, extremely, that this whole thing has completely collapsed. And this is going on. I had a talk, Ram Raghava, with Prabhu Patita Pavana, who's in Romania. And he's a friend of mine. He joined with Tamal Krishna back in the 60s. And he's been sticking to the process of devotional service since then. He's a very interesting person, extremely expert writer. And I enjoy his association very much. He gives me insights into matters that I'm not familiar with. But he also is aware of how by offenses, everything can be lost. Everything, whether it's personal offenses or group offenses or misinformation, these things are serious matters for those who are serious about going back to Godhead in this lifetime. If you want to go back to Godhead, you have to follow the process given by Śrīla Prabhupāda without change or adulteration, and associate with like-minded disciples who are committed to this without offense and work cooperatively together to be successful. You think that a sports team can be successful if everybody in the team has their own point of view? No. And these people that own these organizations, that develop they do not tolerate insubordination. They don't. Why? Because you'll fail. People that never built business don't realize how to build business. You have to have people that are on the same page working together. And in this way, they will become successful. And those people that don't work together, they're the cancer that will destroy an organization. Prabhupada said, a tree is cut down by its own wood. You get the wood from the tree as an axe, and it destroys you. So destruction is usually Raghava internal, not external. It happens internally. That's why we're stressing the Vani incarnation as the most important part of bringing us together. Because Prabhupada lives with all of us in sound. And that is our common denominator. The common denominator. You cannot add together fractions without a common denominator. It does not work. So in the same way, this common denominator that Prabhupada is living with us in sound vibration, and we all take shelter of him and work together cooperatively accordingly, is the secret of our success. And with that, we're at 11:35. We want to thank everyone. Ron Singh in Orville, California, have any last words for us if you're still here in the program by the microphone?
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much to Yaśodā-nandana and Vishwakarma and all the devotees for commenting. Śrīla Prabhupada set up everything very nicely. And if we study the history, the documents are there. It's in black and white. Anyone can read it. And it was the responsibility of the disciples to make sure that these instructions were implemented. For example, he established ISKCON Press in 1970, and then they published many books. And then he established the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust. He appointed trustees for the future of the movement, meaning that they were responsible for making sure that the trust laws that he had filed with the local county, that they were implemented. And then he formed the worldwide society of how things should have been managed. That document is called the Direction of Management. So over the years, from the Constitution in 1966 all the way till 1977, he gave explicit instructions on how the movement was to be set up, how the movement was to be run, and how the books were to be printed. But if you go to those original instructions and compare now, you will see that everything has totally changed. They appointed gurus. There was no written direction on Śrīla Prabhupada's letters, books, conversations, where he suggested or where he had given express written instructions that they were to appoint acharyas, 11 acharyas in 1977. So this whole concoction of appointing of acharyas, the changing of the books, the changing of the management, all these things took place in 1977, when the movement was totally hijacked by these 11 people. Now, many of these 11 people are dead now. Jay Tirtha is dead. I recently saw a comment by Bhagavan. He was saying he was one of the original 11, and he was making comments about that Prabhupada wanted, or Prabhupada was not, Prabhupada's instructions were obeyed. I was like, your name is directly in the direction of management. And then Śrīla Prabhupada, I think in 1973 or 1974, made a comment that this direction of management and all the documents related to ISKCON must be filed at the local level. They never did all these things that Prabhupada had wanted. So systematically, they disobeyed Śrīla Prabhupada, and now they have this so-called ISKCON, which is not even what Prabhupada had wanted. It's a totally changed ISKCON. So anyone who studies these things, they will know, oh, there's a great sinister movement within Śrīla Prabhupada society, and this is this present day ISKCON. So it's, the comments that I've made are very technical in nature. I'm not sure if devotees can understand it, but it's there if you study it, and if you look at the whole progressive hijacking of the movement and how things change, you'll see, changed books, changed management system, appointing of people who are deviants, who are pedophiles, who have abused children, women, no local input of the local devotees, nothing, zero. So it's like a corporate environment which is functioning. It's called the GBC Society of West Bengal, which is not a Prabhupada created entity. It's some concoction which the local devotees acquiesce their position and surrender their rights to the so-called GBC Society of West Bengal, and they appoint presidents, gurus, management, lawyers. So it's a whole deviant group of people. So that is why we see all this great chaos in Prabhupada's original movement. Thank you very much.
Please note, everyone, how Bhakta Ran Singh has understood the history of ISKCON by his careful study of the matters. Please note Bhakta Ran Singh, how he just spoke in detail about these facts. Bhakta Ran Singh. You can be a disciple of Śrīla Prabhupada if you study carefully his instructions and follow them. This is very important for everyone to realize. This is not seniority is not based on your so-called association like Bhagavan. And by the way, Ron, I'm just gonna finalize our discussion. I did see your post to Bhagavan on Facebook today, where you corrected him in his Sahajya explanations of our philosophy. Actually, if you read it carefully, you can see through it how he is so deviant. And it's sad. Because, like I said, I certainly enjoyed my association when he was seemingly on the path of taking shelter of Śrīla Prabhupada and not. I wanted to send a comment to him. Why do you, Bhagavan, follow or accept Narayan Maharaj as also your higher authority? This is very interesting. So everybody, please enjoy the association of our Prabhupada Disciple Association members. Please enjoy participating in our weekly sessions, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday. Please invite other people to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And please distribute prasadam to your family and friends every week without fail. And carry on with this mission to save yourself. You cannot save other people, Prabhupada would tell us, unless you can first save yourself. So all glories to the Sankirtan movement, and all glories to the Prabhupada Disciples Association membership and Hare Krishna Society. Stay blissful, stay enlivened, and stay determined to carry on with this mission for the whole period that you are with us in this material world. All glories to the Sankirtan movement. Hare Krishna. We will chant for 2 minutes and 58 seconds the Hare Krishna mantra with Śrīla Prabhupada, and thank you, Ram Raghava. You know, we are serious, but we are also very fun-loving in our approach to devotional service. And thank you, everyone. All glories to the Sankirtan movement.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Photo, and it shows all of us. We had a Sankirtan party on our blue bus. We were traveling across the southern states, and this is us in the French Quarter on Harinam, and there is my lowly self, and Bibi Govinda, there's Sukra, and a few other devotees that were also in New Orleans when Nityananda Prabhu was the president. And we stayed there for a few months with him, and it was very exciting and blissful. So all glories to the Sankirtan movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavinibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord who can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like desire trees, and they're full of compassion for the fallen souls. We'll see you again on Thursday evening for Chaitanya Charitamrita reading. All glories to Śrīla Prabhupāda.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.